If somebody said you had to define iconic, this is the gun you'd do it with. This is the Franke Spaz 12. Yes, you've seen it before. Why do I know you've seen it before? Well, Terminator for one, and two, if you've ever played a video game, this gun's in it. And one of the things we're going to do today is go through the features of this gun. We do not have any firing sequences of this, and I do apologize that the person who was nice enough to let me use this, when they let me have it, we didn't have any opportunity to get to the firing range. Although I can say, as heavy as this thing is, recoil has got to be fairly mild compared to other 12 gauge shotguns. This gun was not manufactured in the numbers that the 870 or the M500 have been manufactured in, not even close. This gun was built from the ground up to be a police military shotgun. It's got no hunting features on it whatsoever, and it's got features that would kind of only apply to law enforcement. It's very obvious this gun was invented in the 70s. It went into production in 1979 and pretty much continued up to the end of the 90s. This was imported into the United States, not in terribly great numbers, but then overall the gun was never manufactured in terribly great numbers. And when I say great numbers, I'm comparing it to Mossberg's and Remington 870 shotguns, which this wouldn't even be a rounding area, the amount of these that were produced compared to them. The gun has strictly law enforcement features, as I mentioned. And what features are those? Well, collapsible stock. And you have to remember, when this gun was invented, this was about the only type of collapsible stock there was. Simple over the top, and we'll go into its operation. Because ergonomics wasn't one of the considerations, I can guarantee you that. The other feature it has that's pretty unique to this and only a few other shotguns is the gun works in either semi-automatic or pump action. And why would you need a feature like that? Well, pretty basically for the police only. A lot of your less lethal ammunition is low powered and it's not enough to cycle the gun. So basically what it lets you do is cycle the gun manually. So if you're pumping out, say, tear gas rounds or bird bombs or something like that, all you got to do is just pump the gun like you would an 870, for example, and it'll still keep firing. Switch over to buckshot, put it back in semi-automatic mode, and keep pumping away. As mentioned earlier, there are no ergonomics on this gun. And it comes down to, this is made in the 1970s. It started production in 1979. So a lot of the features that we're used to today just didn't exist back then. But it's because of the features this gun had that we learned what we needed to do the things we do today with our guns. The first thing you notice about this being a law enforcement shotgun is the collapsible stock. It's an over-the-top type collapsible stock, and that's pretty much, if you had a shotgun in the 70s, 80s with a collapsible stock, that's what you had. No side folders, no under folders. It was folding over the top. They were metal and they were uncomfortable, and I can guarantee you this one is uncomfortable. Not even firing it, just putting it next to your cheek. It's uncomfortable. Now getting close up here, let's deploy the stock. Yeah, that doesn't work, does it? So you can't even just flip the thing open like you would with a modern folding stock on a shotgun. What you have to do is this detent right here. You have to press it in, and that allows you to deploy the stock. Well, almost. As you can see, before going into position, it hits the detent again. There's no flange or anything here on the stock that would hit the detent and pause the gun, so you have to manually push it in again. Okay. So now, here we go. We got the stock deployed. No, we can't shoot because the butt plate is still straight. Well, now we got to push in another detent and flip it down. Now, finally, I've got this gun to a point where I can shoot it. So I can put this hard piece of metal against my cheek. Look at this right here. Right here. Metal, there's a little bit of curve to it, a little bit of shaping, but mainly nice sharp edge right here. So as soon as you fire this thing, you're going to feel it in your cheek. Okay, this shotgun is unloaded. There's no live ammo here, so nobody freak out in the comment section. Now we're going to talk about the safety. Okay, this is the safety lever. This is a first edition safety lever. It's literally a lever. The second editions were crossbolt safeties, much like you would see on a Remington 870. Now these were replaced because these lever ones are unreliable. That's right. You can have the gun charged and ready to go, have it on safe, pull the trigger, and it can go bang. There are cases of it doing it. And there was a recall of these guns to replace that to the crossbolt section. Clearly this one has never been replaced. So actually firing this gun, you'd have to be very careful with. The safety demonstrates this gun's complete lack of ergonomics. Because, okay, I'm trying to flip it off. I can sort of, kind of, maybe get it, and no, okay, I got to do that. So there's no way to go from safe to fire while keeping your finger in a grip on the weapon ready to use it. So no, it's a deliberate act. Hand has to be off the, put it on, and then you got to take it off the grip to put it back on safe. So this type of safety, no good, as can say if they had a push button. Yeah, that'd be easy. Another bit of the gun where they did not think about ergonomics is the sling swivels. Here you have the rear sling swivel right here, right above the pistol grip, and then up here you have literally a key ring attached. Now the nice thing is it does slide from side to side, as you can see here, so it is ambidextrous in that respect, but literally it's a key ring. They didn't really think about slings the way we do now, back in the 1970s. One of the problems with the sling system on this shotgun is the mounting positions. On the rear sling here, it's mounted right above the pistol grip, as you can see right here. The stock right now is in the deployed position. So if I have a sling hooked in here and I go to fold the stock back up, it's going to bind on the sling and probably the clip that's holding it onto this loop. So I won't be able to close the shotgun stock. On the other hand, if I have the stock folded and the sling clipped in here, it's going to bind up opening and deploying the stock. So clearly the sling was an afterthought on this, and something they didn't give a lot of consideration to in the 1970s. My recommendation would be, if you acquire spas and you do intend to use it as one of your primary fighting shotguns, is back here, connect your sling through one of these ventilation holes or lightning cuts here in the stock. And then, of course, up at the front, the key ring will be just fine for whatever you want to do. And let bright, shiny key ring, I would, if this was my shotgun and I was going to use it in a tactical manner, that would be gone. That would go away, replace it with a piece of 550 cord. All right, now we're going to load the spas. And this is where its lack of ergonomics come into play once again. Unlike our Mossbergs and our 870s that we're used to, we can leave these guns in the shoulder, aimed in at our target, and reload and top off as necessary. Not so much with the spas. I think the Italians think you have three hands, to be honest. I've had the gun inverted. That is the only way you can get this thing loaded. Got dummy shotgun shells here. Gotta push it in. Oh wow, it doesn't want to go in. That's because I have to push this button in. Now it will load. I gotta push that button in every time. I don't push it in, see? Does not go. Push it in, and it goes. Now, the nice thing about this shotgun is it has an 8-round magazine tube. I didn't quite push the last one in far enough, and I've created a malfunction. Here's one of the flaws of the system. I can't push in and I can't get out. So to get it out, oh, well, no, it's locked. Have to cock it, pry it out, which I'm going to do off camera, as you can see, and then we'll go back to loading the shotgun. Okay, so I cleared the malfunction. Basically, I got it to chamber the round. Nice news about that is, okay, now I have a 9th round in the gun. Bad news about it, I had to chamber a live round in a gun that was malfunctioning. So anyways, back to the loading process. Okay, now I have 9 rounds in the gun. That wasn't quick. That wasn't easy. That was a pain in the butt. It's nowhere as fast as a modern shotgun. And really, I'm using the term modern a little loosely because the 870 and M500 were invented over a decade, in some cases 2 decades before this gun. All right, so we've just loaded up this shotgun manually. Let's cycle it in the manual mode. Safety, unergonomically moved into the fire position, and fire. And it locks open on the last round. In the pump mode, that's a unique feature to this gun. Your 870, your Mossberg 500 doesn't do that. You would just slam the slide back forward and fire on an empty chamber and go, oh my gosh, I don't have rounds anymore. This gun tells you that at least, which is nice. As you can see, cycling the shotgun was no problem for me. However, compared to a traditional pump shotgun, this takes a lot more effort to do. When I say a lot more, it's just significantly more than what you're used to. It wasn't a detriment. I was able to do it. Obviously, I just demonstrated it. But it does take a bit of effort. Now, the nice thing about that is because it takes more effort, because you're compressing that recoil or feeding system spring that you have in semi-automatic mode, when you're going back forward, the forearm's literally pushing itself forward for you. So while you're putting effort in one direction, you're putting almost no effort in the opposite direction. Now's the big question. This is a semi-automatic and a pump action shotgun. How do you switch between the two? And that's actually one of the great systems of the gun. They made this super easy. And it all comes down to this button right here. Press this in and I move it forward like that and lock it in place. The gun is in semi-automatic mode. If I had real shells and live ammunition here and we were on a firing range, all I'd have to do is put the gun on fire and start banging away. And if I was using some kind of ammo, say beanbag rounds, tear gas rounds, birdshot, then, you know, those low brass, low powered rounds are not going to cycle reliably in the action. So then I switch to pump mode. That's just as easy. Push in, pull back, lock it in place. Now the gun will work as a pump action. All right, let's take a look at the sighting system of this shotgun. And this is one of its strong points. It's got good ghost ring aperture sights. You're going to get a sight picture on this very similar to a modern military combat rifle. So Frankie, good on you. This is good stuff. The front is a very substantial blade mounted directly to the barrel. It's big, it's tough, and if you can damage this thing, then maybe you really are Arnold in the Terminator. When you go to the back, you have a ghost ring type sight. It's permanently fixed, and it's got a big aperture on it. Now there's a view of your sight picture right there. You got a post in an aperture, halfway up and centered. You can get very good accuracy with this, and I apologize for not being able to hold the camera that steady. It's a good, durable sight. This sight, the front sight was durable. The rear sight here is substantial. Here, take a look at it from the side in profile. I mean, you are not going to damage the sights on this shotgun. You know, you have substantial things to work with here. You're never going to wing shoot with this gun, and no pheasant has anything to fear from you. However, if you put slugs in this thing, you could easily go deer hunting with it. Although, let's be honest, with this metal folding stock, it's going to beat you to death. The heat shield of the Spaz 12 is big, properly ventilated, and does a good job. As far as semi-automatic shotguns go, this one does a really, really good job at protecting your hand and dissipating heat. Not a lot of semi-automatic shotguns can make that claim. As I said earlier, I didn't get to fire the gun this time around, but I've talked with several people who have extensive use with the Spaz in law enforcement, and they all say the gun overheating, the gun getting too hot to hold was never a problem. The majority of the Spaz 12s, or special purpose automatic shotguns, were imported into the United States in this configuration with a folding stock over the top. They also had magazine tubes that extended to the end of the gun holding 8 rounds with 18-inch barrels. Also, there was a small subset with fixed stocks. This was brought about by the 1994 assault weapons ban, and they changed the name of the gun to the special purpose automatic shotgun to make it sound less threatening, because this gun is so mean looking. You know, politicians are scared by its mere sight. The fact that it really doesn't work any different than any other semi-automatic shotgun, you know, facts, though interesting, are irrelevant. The Franchi Spaz 12 Special Purpose Automatic Shotgun. The very definition of iconic. This gun is cool as cool can be. Unfortunately, practicality, design, technology, time have left it behind. That doesn't make it any less cool. I have been harsh on this gun and its failings in this video. But the truth of the matter is, this gun isn't mine, but I wish it was. If I have the opportunity to get one of these, I would definitely get one of these. But I would do it because it's cool, because it's the gun of the Terminator, because it's the gun I've seen in literally every video game I've ever played. And let's be honest, the only thing it doesn't work against is clever velociraptors. This gun is awesome. It's not practical, it's not tactical, but it's darn cool. Is this a modern, viable combat shotgun? Well, no, not really. Let's be honest. You can get folding stock shotguns with stocks that deploy and fold quickly and easily. This one takes 3 distinct operations to deploy. You've got to press the detent to get it open and unfolded. You got to press the detent again to lock it in place. Once it's locked in place, you've got to press a detent to fold the butt plate into place. I mean, my God, you could go watch a movie in the amount of time that takes. The safety has no ergonomics whatsoever. The gun is heavy. I mean, I finally encountered a firearm that makes an M1 Garand feel light. So the good news about that is it's going to soak up a lot of recoil, but it's going to be fatiguing to carry all day long. So yes, you could use it today. It's got a complicated loading system though. It does have high ammunition capacity at 8 rounds, which for a tube-fed shotgun is excellent. But as a modern combat shotgun, no, I gotta say its day is past. Its coolness factor is still definitely there. And like I said, I want one, but it's not your modern combat shotgun. If you're looking for a good modern fighting shotgun, if you think a modern fighting shotgun is something you need in your arsenal, and yes, you do need that in your arsenal, I would start with an 870 or a Mossberg 500/590 and build upon it with some of the great features that are out there on the aftermarket. We hope you found this overview of the SPAS 12 shotgun helpful and informative. Please comment, like, and subscribe, and tune in for future overviews of iconic firearms. I'll be back.